Forms of business organizations in the Philippines. An organization is an individual or group of people that collaborate to achieve certain commercial goals. Some business organizations are formed to earn income for the owners. Other business organizations, called non-profits, are formed for public service purposes. These businesses often raise money and utilize other resources to provide or support public programs. One of the decisions a business owner should carefully assess is the way his or her business is formed and structured. In selecting the form of business organization, the owner should consider the size and nature of the business, the level of control, the expected profit, tax implications, and vulnerability to lawsuits. These considerations will determine the type of business organization that a company will be shaped into. The forms of business organizations are sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, and cooperative. A wise manager should consider the characteristics of the business organization that he or she wishes to establish in making the business plan, as each presents unique advantages, opportunities, and challenges. Let's talk about the sole proprietorship. This is also referred to as a single proprietorship and the simplest form of business, the easiest to register through the Department of Trade and Industry. This is owned by an individual who has full control and authority over his own and owns all of the assets of the business. The owner personally answers for all liabilities or losses as well. Highly flexible, and the owner retains absolute control over it. Many businesses start in this type of business ownership. The sole proprietor owns the entire business, including all assets and profits. Assets are resources with economic value that are owned and controlled by the business owner, such as the facilities, the equipment, machinery, cash, office supplies, raw materials, while liabilities, on the other hand, are debts or obligations which arise in the course of the business operations. The sole proprietor has unlimited liability. Creditors can proceed not only against the assets and property of the business, but also can go after the personal properties of the owner, meaning all that the owner owns can be put at risk and can be spent in order to pay for the debts incurred in case the business will experience losses. The business and the owner is one and the same. Therefore, the business is dissolved upon the death of the sole proprietor. Let's look at the advantages of the sole proprietorship. First, it is easy to form. There are no complex legal formalities involved in setting up. Most manageable and least expensive form of ownership. The licenses and permit requirements are from the DTI or the Department of Trade and Industry for the business name, from the local government unit where the business operates, and for the BIR or the Bureau of Internal Revenue for the tax purposes, HDMF, the Mandatory Home Development Mutual Fund or Pag-ibig Fund, and the SSS or the Social Security System. Second, direct motivation. Remember that the business owner owns all and risks all. Therefore, motivation is high and the owner is highly motivated to gain success. Promptness in decision making. Why? Because decision making is done by one person only. Quick decisions can be made concerning the business. Secrecy. Every aspect of the business is looked after by the proprietor and the business secrets are known to him or her only. The owner has no obligation to publish his account. Socially desirable. New and small entrepreneurs can take up business on small-scale basis. A lot of individuals start their businesses this way because of its simplicity. The disadvantages of sole proprietorship. First, limited resources. Remember that the owner mainly financed the business from his own savings or borrowings from financial institutions or loan institutions or borrowings from friends and relatives. Second, limited managerial capability. Remember that this is a one-man show, and therefore it's difficult for one individual to possess all the managerial talents necessary to carry on a business efficiently. The limited financial resource is also a hindrance for the owner to hire experts, to hire the services of managers with expertise in different areas of running the business. Third, unlimited liability. The private properties and savings of the proprietor is at risk. In case the business fails, the private and personal properties of the owner are utilized to pay off the business debts. Next, less scope, meaning less scope for economies of large scale. It might be difficult for one person to order raw materials that would require bulk purchases because of limited budget. It's not suitable for large-scale business. Because of this limitation in financial resources, then managerial capabilities is also limited, risks to personal property and others. It makes the sole proprietorship unsuitable for large-scale business. So the system in itself, the system of business, cannot afford large-scale operation. The second form of business organization is the partnership. This consists of two or more people who bind themselves to contribute money, property, or industry to a common fund with the intention of dividing the profits among themselves. Take note, it's two or more persons. Just because it's called partnership, it doesn't mean it's only between two people who bind themselves, meaning that they have an agreement, a promise, a commitment, a contract to work together and help make the business grow. To contribute money, meaning they shell out funds or capital to finance the business. A partner may contribute a property. Example, if one partner has a vacant lot that they can use or a building for them to use as an office, factory, or a space for their operation. Industry means an expertise. Maybe one partner is good in accounting and one can be an expert in farming, engineering, or other expertise that would be his contribution to the business, his expertise in something, with the intention of dividing the profits of the business among themselves. Of course, it's one of the reasons why they are in business in the first place. The partnership is considered as a juridical person. Juridical person means having a separate legal personality distinct from that of its owners. So, for example, the partnership name would be ABC Company. It is considered as a legal entity, meaning it can own a property as ABC Company and not as the names of the owners. It can borrow from a bank using the company name. Those with capital more than 3,000 must register with the SEC or the Securities and Exchange Commission. There are two types of partnership. First, the general partnership. All partners have the ability to actively manage or control the business. Similar to sole proprietorship, the partners have unlimited liability for the debts and obligations of the partnership. Each member is jointly and solidarily liable for debts of the business, meaning that each and every partner has the obligation and equal share in paying for the liabilities of the business. The second type of partnership is the limited partnership. It requires a partnership agreement and has both limited and general partners. One or more general partners have unlimited liability, and the limited partners have liability that only is up to the amount equal to their capital contributions. A limited partner does not have the authority to run the business. He is more or less an investor in the business and also does not have total responsibility for the debts of the partnership. What are the advantages of a partnership? First, ease of formation. Much like the sole proprietorship, partnerships are relatively easy to establish. More skills are available because it is composed of individuals having complementary skills and therefore a wider pool of knowledge, skills, and contacts. Specialized business approach, which can be cost-effective as each partner could be a specialist in a certain aspect of their business and can contribute their expertise in different areas of responsibilities. It induces partners' creative thinking. Each partner provides moral support for the others, and this allows for more creative brainstorming. More heads are better than one, so to speak. The partnership pays its own taxes as it is a separate legal entity. It has its own taxpayer identification number or TIN, and it pays its own income taxes, business taxes, and withholding taxes. Disadvantages of partnership. Number one, friction during distribution of profits. It is difficult to decide how to value each other's time and skills, and therefore difficult to match the compensation one may receive in a particular project. Possible divisiveness in decision. This is because decisions are shared and disagreements can occur. Expectations and situations can change, which can lead to dramatic and traumatic split-ups between the partners. Limited life. If one partner withdraws or dies, the partnership is dissolved. Managerial flexibility. Since there are more people to consult and negotiate before a decision will be agreed upon, each one needs to be more flexible to adjust to each other's decisions. Unlimited liability. It's similar to sole proprietorship because general partners are liable without limit for all debts contracted and possible errors made by the partnership, even up to the extent of one partner being called upon to pay for the debts of the other partners, up to a point when one must sell off all personal possessions to pay for losses in the business. The third form of business is a corporation. A corporation is a juridical entity established under the Corporation Code and regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. The owners are called shareholders or stockholders. Like a partnership, the corporation has a distinct personality separate from its owners. And this is a good thing about corporations. The liability of the shareholders is limited only to the amount of their shared capital. Therefore, in case of business losses, only the assets of the corporation can be spent to pay off any debts. The personal assets of the shareholders are safe. The corporation may consist of at least 5 to 15 incorporators, which each hold at least one share. The life of the corporation is 50 years and renewable for another 25 years and 25 years onwards. The minimum paid-up capital is 5,000. A corporation can either be a stock or a non-stock corporation. Stock corporation has capital stocks divided into shares and is authorized to distribute to the shareholders the earnings, which are called dividends or allotments, of the surplus profits on the basis of the shares held. A non-stock corporation, on the other hand, does not issue shares of stock and is established primarily for public interest such as a foundation for charitable, educational, social, cultural, and other similar purposes. Advantages of a corporation. Owners have limited liability and they are indebted to the extent of their interest in the corporation. Creditors can only run after the assets of the corporation and not on the personal assets of the stockholders in the settlement of the corporation's debts and liabilities. The corporation can exist with continuity. The power of succession gives a corporation continuous existence until the shareholders decide to dissolve it or merge with another business. Shares of ownership are transferable. The shares of stock or interests of a publicly traded corporation can be traded easily via a stockbroker. For example, when you hear investors saying that they have bought shares of stocks in corporations or companies like San Miguel or Coca-Cola. But there are also stock corporations with buy-sell agreements restricting when and to whom shares are to be sold or transferred. For non-publicly traded corporations, stock certificates can be transferred or assigned to another owner by executing a deed of assignment of shares of stock. Attracts more investors. A corporation is more attractive to investors because of its stock structure, perpetual existence, ownership transferability, and limited liability. An incorporator or an owner can be employed by its own corporation and can therefore receive salaries or compensation income aside from the dividends received as a stockholder. The corporation pays its own taxes since it's a separate legal entity. These are the possible disadvantages of a corporation. Incorporation is costly because it entails filing with the SEC, and this involves a lot of formal and legal papers like bylaws, articles of incorporation, several affidavits, resolutions, and others. Some may need to hire a processing officer to take care of all paperwork, and this will need additional budget. Incorporation also require higher amount of initial paid-up capital. Highly regulated. Special corporations may have additional licensing requirements by other government agencies like the BSP or Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas for lending firms or the CHED and DepEd for schools and others depending on its nature. There is also a need for compliance with quarterly or annual reportorial requirements, more paperwork, and therefore more costs. Limited liability may discourage creditors. Creditors may be discouraged to lend money to corporations with low credit scores and those who doesn't have a good financial condition and performance. May result to double taxation. If computation and processing are not done properly, double taxation may result because dividend income received by shareholders is also taxed upon their distribution. Not easy to dissolve. Difficult to form and also difficult to dissolve. Application for dissolution must be filed also with SEC with complete requirements including tax clearance with the BIR. Liquidation process is also regulated to ensure that the rights of any creditor having a claim against it are not prejudiced. The fourth form of business organization is the cooperative. This is often referred to as a co-op. It is a limited liability business similar to a corporation and can be organized for profit or not for profit. Its owners are called members who share in the decision making. A co-op can be classified either as consumer co-op or a worker co-op. The income is usually given to its members in the form of patronage refund, which is by substance an incentive given to members by buying or availing of the product or services provided by the business of the cooperative. A cooperative has the following advantages. Easy to form. The procedure involved in the registration of the co-op business is simple and easy, and must comply with the usual business requirements after it is registered with the Cooperative Development Authority. Service motive. The members are at an advantage because they are provided with better goods and services at reasonable prices. The co-op provides financial help to its members at concessional rates. They also assist in setting up product units and marketing of products for their members. Democratic management. Elected members manage the business. Every member has equal rights through its single vote and can take active part in the formulation of the policies of the cooperative society. All members are equally important for the society. Surplus income are shared by the members. The society sells goods to its members at a nominal profit and in some cases sells goods to outsiders as well. The profit is utilized for meeting the day-to-day administration cost of the society. Procedure for distribution of profit is that some portion of the surplus is spent for the welfare of the members, some portion kept reserved, whereas the balance shared among the members as divided on the basis of these purchases. Disadvantages of cooperative. First, inefficient management. The co-op may be managed by members who may not possess managerial and special skills. Inefficiency of management may not bring success to the societies. Lack of secrecy. The affairs of the society are openly discussed in the meetings. Secrecy is very important for the success of a business organization, and this lack of secrecy may pave the way for competitors to compete in the business in a better manner. Cash trading. The co-op societies sell products to outsiders, generally in cash, but are usually to the poor sectors who may require availing credit facilities, which are not possible for most co-ops. Absence of motivation. Members may not feel enthusiastic because the law governing co-ops puts some restrictions on the rate of return. The absence of relationship between work and reward discourages members to put their maximum effort in the society. Disputes and differences. Because members come from various types of personnel from different social, economic, and academic background, and may strongly differ from each other on many important issues, which may become detrimental to the interests of the society. Different opinions may paralyze the effectiveness of the management. To summarize the forms of business organizations, first we have the sole proprietorship under the registering agency of the Department of Trade and Industry. Then we have partnership and corporation, which are under the Securities and Exchange Commission. The fourth is the cooperative, which must be registered in the Cooperative Development Authority. The Philippine government also recognizes foreign business organizations. These organizations are incorporated or organized based on the foreign laws, but if they operate in the Philippines, they are still subject to regulation by our government. That ends the discussion on the forms of business organizations in the Philippines.